Hey guys, Drifter here, and welcome to Advanced Warfare in Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the CEL-3 cauterizer, which you might recognize as being straight out of exo-zombies. Couldn't help it, had to do it, just toss that up there. But yes, this is the zombie super weapon or wonder weapon from that part of the game, and it's been moved into multiplayer so that we can all use it to kill our friends. Is it a good gun? Maybe, maybe not. It certainly is very difficult to use, and it has a couple of unusual properties that other shotguns do not, all of which we'll be covering on today's in-depth episode. But for now, let's talk about the damage, because that's the most interesting part about any weapon. The damage per pellet, or per laser, or per little scan, because it is a shotgun, it shoots multiple, is 50 to 20, and that is very high for shotguns. This was also very difficult to test by hand, took a lot of trial and error, but 20 damage at long ranges for shotguns is very high, highest in the game. It's maybe not the highest of any COD game, but it is quite high, and 50 damage per shot up close, or per pellet up close, is also tied for first in Advanced Warfare, so it is a very high damage shotgun. It shoots 8 lasers per shot, or pellets. They're essentially pellets or hit scans, but this one is an energy shotgun, so they're the laser, they're like the energy weapon things. It shoots 8 of those, so the total damage output will be 400 up close and 160 at long ranges. That's assuming all pellets hit, and again, like most shotguns, very much so overkill. I would like to point out that those were lasers and not pellets, and in this game it treats all of the lasers and energy weapons as non-penetrating bullets. The lasers do not penetrate walls, which means you cannot wallbang anybody with this shotgun, even if they're sitting on another piece of thin plywood and you can see them with the little UAV scan thing and you shoot them right in the head. The lasers will not go through the plywood and you will not get a kill. Just would like to point that out. There will be no wallbanging with the CEL-3 cauterizer. It's usually a one-shot kill up close, pretty good at that, right on par with something like the TAC-19, and it's usually a two-shot kill from far away. It's not too often that the CEL-3 cauterizer is a hit marker machine, though unfortunately sometimes it can be. That's why I put these usuallys up there. Sometimes shotguns in this game just do not cooperate with me, but I would expect to get a lot of one and two shot kills. Interestingly enough, headshots do seem to deal extra damage on the CEL-3 cauterizer, and you would think to yourself, well, yeah, they should, but that's unusual for Call of Duty games and Advanced Warfare because shotguns haven't had headshot multipliers for quite a long time. Typically it didn't make any difference whether you shot them in the head or the body with any other shotgun, but as far as I can tell, headshots do deal extra damage with the CEL-3 cauterizer, so it can't hurt for you to go for the head, though you're more likely to just get a lucky headshot. Though I would like to point out, this was very, very difficult to test. All of this was hand testing, no PC code this time around, so I could be wrong in that regard. Aim down sights time is 250 milliseconds, which is normal for shotguns. Some people have complained that the gun is slow or clunky or responds differently. My testing indicates that's not the case. It's got the same ADS time and the same recover from sprinting time as other shotguns. It's just kind of the rate of fire which is wonky, which we're going to get to in a little bit. I would also like to point out that the maximum range of this shotgun is 16 meters, which is about the same as the other shotguns, and this is a clip of the maximum range. You can see the pellets kind of disappearing in his face, or the lasers, mind you, I said that wrong, but within a certain range it will start to hit. Just kind of wanted to show you the split screen test, and you'll notice that I killed him with 2 shots, albeit one of those was a headshot, so that was kind of unusual. The maximum one-shot range is approximately 8 meters, or about half of your maximum. Not that uncommon for shotguns, but I've seen better. It could be a little bit beefier again, but it's something I think you'll be able to work with pretty easily. And just kind of spitballing here, this is the maximum range that I was able to get for one-shot kills in private match, though interestingly enough I did get 1 or 2 better than these in my gameplay. I think it just has more to do with how many pellets hit than it does with the actual range of the shotgun. You're just so much less likely to get enough pellets to hit after 8 meters. Coming up next, we need to talk about rate of fire, and I would like to point out that the CEL-3 has 2 distinct rates of fire, just like it does in exo-zombies. Your first shot and second shot will have a big delay between the two, and then it will rapidly increase to its maximum rate of fire. So you're going to shoot once, and wait, and wait, and wait, and you'll grow a beard, and then you'll wait some more, and then you can shoot again, and then the rest are going to pop, come out much faster. The math on that works out to the first shot being exactly 60 rounds per minute. The rate of fire on your first and then second shots, the gap between those two is 60 rounds per minute. That's a little bit slower than the other shotguns in Advanced Warfare. The other pump-action shotgun, or the only other one, is the TAC-19, really, is 90 rounds per minute, so or 89. So this is going to be a little bit slower than the TAC-19 on that first shot, but on the other shots it increases to 120 rounds per minute, which is significantly faster than the TAC-19 and is very noticeable. But I would like to point out, it's not like the S12 or like the Ohm. It's not a complete spray. You are going to have to time it just a little bit, but it's kind of an unusual mechanic. This one throws me off all the time. This is, I think, the weakest part about the gun. If it weren't for this, the gun would overall perform much better, but this kind of gives it an awkwardness in handling, a big delay on your shots. It's not as bad as the blunderbuss, but the blunderbuss was never really meant to be competitive or serious. This one, maybe this one isn't either, but it does throw you off and it makes the weapon feel more inconsistent than it should. We're going to talk about this more later in the recommendation section. Let's move on to a few more stats. It has a fairly normal hipfire spread. Nothing's really crazy going on with the hipfire. Some people said it's tighter, or some people said it's wider than average. No. As far as I can tell, it's the same as the other shotguns. Nothing really strange about the hipfire spread going on. And the reload time is very fast for a shotgun. I would like to point this out. The empty and full reload times are both pretty much the same at 1.5 seconds, which, considering that you have a 15-round magazine and you can reload the whole thing in 1.5 seconds, that is very fast for a shotgun in Call of Duty. Typically, shotguns with big magazines, you have to go and load one shell at a time, boring, slow, meticulous, or they'll have a whole mag that you can change, but it takes forever. This has really good reloads. That's definitely a benefit to the weapon. The iron sights I also think are great. The iron sights are fantastic on this one, which again isn't true of shotguns, just typically you're hip firing, or typically you don't even need the iron sights. This one you need it a little bit because you're going to be doing a little bit more ADS trying to get that first shot kill, but the iron sights look good. I mean, just look at these things. They're beautiful, they're clear. We've got a big red circle and then a tiny red dot, and the actual physical like metal sights look good. I think they look fantastic. I think they're very easy for me to use. I could put them on pretty much any gun in the game and rock with that. But you can put the weird, what is it, like thermal body scan, the tracker sight on it, that thing, that goofy sight. It looks cool. It kind of reminds you of zombies, but it isn't very practical or useful. Overall, this is an okay shotgun that looks cool but can be frustrating to use. When I first picked it up and started to use it, I was going to say it was a bad shotgun. It was an annoying shotgun. But after giving it some time, I found a way to use it, which I will be recommending shortly. And it's an okay shotgun. It's not the best in the game, not the worst in the game. It's just kind of average, but it looks really cool. The animations on it are cool. The bullets are cool. It looks really, it just looks really awesome. But it can be frustrating to use because of that weird rate of fire going from very slow to very fast, and you have to hold to charge it, and a lot of things like that. And I found that the best way to use this weapon is to treat it like a slow pump action shotgun. Do not depend on the fully automatic part of this weapon. Do not ever think that you can run up to a group of people and hold down the trigger and spray them like you can with the S12 or the Ohm or the Bulldog, because it just will not work. Treat this one exactly the same way that you treat the TAC-19 and pull the trigger once, then back off, then do it again. It's a little bit different because you don't have that pumping animation going on, so maybe you can't time it quite as well as you would like to, and it doesn't, because you don't get those visual cues going on. You just kind of have to wait. Maybe if you use it for a long time and get a good like mental timing of it, it'll be easier. I found it a little bit harder, and because it does have that full auto component, because it can spray, it's always very tempting for me to go back in and hold down the trigger and try and hose people, even though that's not the best strategy. Just treat it like a pump action shotgun and you will be much happier with the performance. As for what it's best with, I recommend using it with quick draw and advanced rifling. The attachments on this one were pretty limited. We didn't even have the laser sight. Advanced rifling is just go-to for any shotgun. There is no reason you should not be using advanced rifling. It's fantastic. It increases your total range, your one-shot kill range, all of those things. And since you're going to be aiming down sights to get that hip fire tight bonus, because you know it's a little bit more accurate when you aim down sights, you're going to want to be able to do that quickly, and quick draw is very helpful. This is a shotgun where gung-ho is not bad on, but it's not really good on, so I don't really run gung-ho. I don't run gung-ho on too many except for the S12, and this is how I would recommend going at it. Of note, stock isn't half bad, because when you ADS, sometimes you like to stay aim down sights and kind of like work your way around corners and spray people. Stock's really not bad. It's kind of viable on this shotgun. One last thing I'd like to point out is that the enlisted variant, the Phantom, is fantastic. It has an increase in damage, which guarantees you a lot more one-shot kills at any ranges, and the penalties are to mobility, so you run a little bit slower, because that is actually what mobility does on shotguns, and handling, so that your sprint out time is a little bit slower, but the increased damage is just worth it every single time. Do not overlook the enlisted variant. It's quite good. Well, guys, that's all for this episode of In Depth. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. You could also check out the previous episode, which was on the AK-47. The next episode is going to be on the M16, and you can check out my sponsors in the description if you're interested in any of that. Drifter out.
Hey, what do y'all think about that cauterizer? I ain't got it yet. Is it good? Anyone here got the cauterizer yet?